Welcome everyone to Goal Chat Live. I'm Debra Eckerling. I'm the author of Your Goal Guide, a roadmap for setting, planning, and achieving your goals, and founder of the Deb Method. And I'm so excited because today I get to hang out with fellow Mango Sherry Richert Belul, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself in a minute. But before we do that, and I was telling this to Sherry before we went live, my October theme for all these goal chats has been survival. So we started out with loneliness and endurance. Now we get to joy. Next week, we're going to talk about creativity. And in these challenging times, and I think I say this every episode, I'm sorry, I repeat myself, we need to do the things that make us happy, that help us survive, that help us move forward, because whether you're thriving now, and some people are, or you're having challenges, or it's like the balance of a little of both, doesn't matter. What matters is your attitude to find the good things to bring you forward. So I thought Joy, I thought Sherry, match made in Facebook Live. And Sherry, why don't you introduce yourself?
Deb, I love you. You are joy embodied.
Oh, ditto, my friend.
Thank you for having me here. And yes, so my company is called Simply Celebrate, and my work is around joy. However, I always like to start off by saying that my Simply Celebrate world is not just confetti and balloons and bubbles. It's really about celebrating every moment, no matter what's going on, which I know is what you're talking about this month, right? That it's like, even when things are difficult, it really is about finding those tiny, tiny little moments of light in our lives that can help us feel uplifted.
Definitely. And we had that. Well, I'm going to put your link right here. So let's do that. And we had last night our Goal Chat Twitter chat. We had 24 people, and it was everybody very active the whole time. And the common theme was, we need joy, a joyful chat talking about joy, just inspiring. And we have to be keeping each other going now, because whether you live in a bubble, a big city like we do, where we're not going anywhere, or you're able to go out and roam, life is still different. There are challenges everywhere you look, but what you have control over is yourself, your surroundings, your joy. And even when you're having a rough day, you can still find joy, right?
Absolutely, Deb. You know, and you're right. Like, we are in a particular moment in time, and you know, at any given time in human history, there are always parts of our lives that are, you know, down and then up and down and up. And I mean, we go through grief, we go through loss. And it's a practice that for me has been essential my entire life.
Okay, so we're going to start with the first question. Here's a tough one. How do you define joy? And if you're watching live or the replay and you want to chime in, feel free. But Sherry, tell me, how do you define joy?
I love it. That's such a great question. For me personally, the way that I define joy is a synonym to being present. To me, joy is when I'm here, allowing and accepting whatever is going on in my life, and I feel alive. So for me, you know, joy has, like, it can be, we can feel that sort of joy even when we're grieving, because it's really about allowing the human feelings that we have.
It's the balance.
Yeah.
And I have, I think you know this because we've talked about it before. I made up a word for my book, Goaltopia.
Yes.
And Goaltopia is the happy place where you're achieving your goals and living the life you desire. My big thing and why I wrote the book in part is because I believe everybody should experience joy in some, if not all, of their life. And if you're experiencing joy in some of your life, it's going to leak over into the rest, and it's going to help you when you have that joy, when you have that hope, when you have a secret because you're building something. that no one else knows about, or you have this secret, whether it's what are they called? A guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Or a secret hobby, or just something. But when you know that you have that special thing, that light, that bubble, that joy, that really is what you can tap into to let the other parts of your life seem less traumatic. And I think that's the thing. So for me, joy is Goaltopia, the happy place where you're achieving your goals and living the life you desire. So.
That is so beautiful, Deb. And I would even add to that. I love that, your definition. For me, I would even add to that, even before I'm achieving my goals, right? And I know your book speaks to this so much. And that's, I love that, right? That your book talks about the journey. Being on the road is so much fun.
Yeah, it is the journey to joy. The joy you feel is you're going.
Yes.
You're in transit.
Right. And we're in the car and we were looking at the brochure because I'm kind of old, so I used to have travel brochures. You and I are in the car and we're looking at our brochures and we're like, oh, I can't wait till we get there,
And I think we have to hit on a misconception. It's okay to feel joy now.
Yes.
If you're watching, do not at all feel guilty if your business is going well, your life is going well, you are happy, you're healthy. It's good.
In fact,
yes,
people need it, right, Deb? Like, this is so I know what you do for people because you bring us your energy. Right now, more than ever, we need the people that are feeling good to show and express that they're feeling good so that we can all be uplifted by that. Yeah, so not even about not feeling guilty, but it's a gift.
But you're like that as well. I mean, aren't you all about in October, I don't know if you saw this in October, I'm doing my win a day so I can celebrate something every single day. And I think my Friday win was I survived the week.
Oh!
And my yesterday win was raisin banana bread. And, I have a lot of worky and goal-oriented wins in there, but we should be celebrating everything.
Right, because, I love, who was it that said, I think it was Emerson that said, I'm gonna mangle this a little bit, but if the stars should appear once every 1,000 years, how we would marvel and stare. Right. And I think everything in our life is like that. If you imagine that you only had raisin bread once in your life, how we would, hold it and look at it and taste it. And I like to think that we can approach things like that a lot.
Okay, so what do you do to rejigger your brain to approach things with joy?
Ooh, great question. Well, I have a practice that I learned from my spiritual teacher that's called recording and listening. So I have a little MP3 player that goes with me everywhere, and I record things that bring me joy. And by doing this, what that means is that I'm always on the lookout, so that I'm going through my day. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm also looking outside, and we have a little baby tree that's starting to grow bigger, and I can see the way the light is coming on the leaves, and it's beautiful. And I know when I'm looking around like that at the day, that later I'll be able to say in my recorder, oh, I was talking to Deb and she's so wonderful and she's got the most beautiful, vibrant nature. And while I was doing that, I got to see our little maple tree outside. So like that, it's a way of training myself to always be on the lookout. And then by recording it, there's something obviously that anchors it in. And then when I listen to it next week or 2 weeks from now or 3 years from now, and then I will still remember this moment with you. And it really, again, I always use that term anchors in because that's how it feels. It feels like it anchors the joy. And one moment of joy multiplies into many, many moments of joy.
Right. On that we agree. Joy is contagious in a good way.
What's your favorite practice?
I ask the questions. My my basic practice is, it's almost like the opposite. I look through everything in my day with this optimistic aura, and I know it's disgusting that someone should genuinely be this perky, but it's true. If I'm frustrated, and I think we were on the heart panel that you hosted me when I said this, is I'm allowed 2 minutes of when I'm feeling anxious or frustrated or upset. I give myself 2 minutes, and sometimes not even that long, to like freak out, and then I have to go back to regular me, because
I do remember that, and I love that. So you. It's so you.
Well, I am a firm believer in the law of attraction. What you believe, it happens, which is why in the first part of the DEB method is determine your mission. Look at where you are now, look at where you want to go, and then behave like you're there.
Yes.
Because live in the moment of now, even if the moment is in the future.
Oh, Deb, I'm so with you on that. And you know what else I just realized?
What?
Can you see this?
I can. I bring joy. That's amazing.
So I also just, when I looked over, I realized that I had that, surrounding ourselves with things that remind us is another really good thing to do. Like I love to have things around me that I calibrate to.
Yes, because you make where you work, your space, where you live, it should be your happy place. Because it's, what is that? I don't remember where it comes from, but it's like, if you're having a bad day, you should definitely dress up and feel the way you want to on the outside, and that's going to help you on the inside.
I love that. We could talk for this entire time about clothing, because people often ask me, because I wear hats a lot, and I love these little
very cozy, right?
So, and people often ask me about that, and for me, it's exactly what you said. So if I start the day as if I'm going to a party, then I'm going to a party today, right? It's instant law of attraction.
Wait, you look like you're always going to a party.
But that's what I mean, right? That life, life is what we make it. And so for me, it's a reminder that this could be it. Really, this moment with you could be the very end of my life. And I want to go out feeling like we're at a party together.
So is that like your motto? Or is your motto the celebrate, or simply celebrate? Or it seems to me that you do bring that party with you wherever you go, because you're always, and as a happy person, I recognize that you always seem so happy and upbeat and just thrilled in the moment. Is that true?
No, it's not at all true. So unlike you, which is why I think it's good that we're on this together, I am not a naturally happy person. For me, joy is a practice.
Okay.
And so it's a very, my motto actually has to do with, I was suicidal back in my younger days. And so a lot of this work has grown from that. As opposed to it coming from happiness, it came from the darker side of life. And so my motto is actually, I'm always looking only for a pinprick of light. That's it. And then that pinprick of light will lead me to the next pinprick of light. And I found over my lifetime that obviously there's a lot to be gained by giving light to people. And so a lot of my work has to do around just that philosophy, again, of the tiniest moment. Because that, for a while, that was all I could do, to stay alive. It was just one moment at a time.
And I would never know that without us having this conversation. So it really, is the epitome, the definition. Joy is a choice.
Yes. I for the last 30 years, it's something I've chosen over and over again. So again, for me, I'm not one of those people. It's not just like, oh, okay, I did all that practice 30 years ago or 20 years ago. Every day for me, in fact, I just was talking to my own community about this. I often still wake up in despair. I think it's just it's a matter of wiring or chemicals. But I know enough to know that joy is a choice. And I know enough to know, for me at least, what the elements are that kind of align me back with that joy. And so as soon as I get up, I hit the ground practicing.
I love that. It's so important, I think, too, to be that self-aware, and not many people are. But the fact that you know this about you, but not only that, you made a choice to share it with other people is the most powerful thing you can do. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
Again, I'm really glad that we're both here together, because we come from very different makeup, right? I think our physical makeup, our chemical makeup is likely very different. But that's good, right? Because I think then it's like nobody needs to be or has to be left out of joy. Mm-hmm. And that's really how I feel. You know, I feel like just like you said, I feel like it's a choice, it's a practice, and it's something available to everybody.
Definitely. And I think this is a really good spot for the next question.
Okay.
Other than everything, what in your life brings you joy?
I love that. I love your questions. The very first thing that comes up for me is the word connection. That's a really important word in my life. And it starts with a connection to myself. As a writer, you probably also have that. I think writers have a particular connection to ourselves that's really important. But I also have a really deep need for authentic connection, like this, right? This is why I love this kind of thing, to people in my life. And particularly, I think next week you're talking about creativity. Is that right?
Yeah.
I particularly love when those two meet, when, you know, and that's where a lot of, like in my book, a lot of the ideas about loving gifts that we give people, they're creative and fun and playful, and they really are specific to the relationship. And so they bring a lot of connection. Mm-hmm. And yes, that's the real sweet spot of joy.
I love it. I'm typing this in the chat because it's awesome. So
you're a good multitasker, Deb.
It was really funny because last week one of my guests said, "Oh, the tech person added the comment." I was like, "Yes, she did." Connection and creativity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I, extrovert that I am, you know, everything brings me joy. You know, my people, my community, seeing other people succeed. Oh, that makes me so happy. When I have clients that I work with who they're like, I can't get out of my job. What can I do? And I say, let's build this. And watching them see that their life doesn't always have to be the struggle that it is. Well, it goes back to helping others, giving of yourself, right? I think the world would be a better place if everyone was happy. That's not necessarily realistic. I can be realistic. I know how. But again, that little secret thing that you're working on that no one needs to know about except for you, that's so powerful because, and I've worked the day job. I did my time. I worked a day job for many years. But I've always freelanced, and I've always done these groups, and I've always had other things that I enjoy doing. And it really helps when the thing that takes up the most time in your day, it's really good when you love it. If you don't love it, it's even more important to have other things that you love around you that bring you joy.
Yes. And I would even add to that, for me, it's a practice of starting the day, even if you do have that day job that maybe isn't the best thing you got going that you love the most, to start the day with something you love, even if it's 5 minutes. To me, that's a really important aspect, because then you start from that place of feeling alive and creative or blossoming, or however you want to describe it, right?
Yes, I love that. What is it? There's the practice of the gratitude. When you wake up, you count your blessings. Another way to look at that. Or it's almost like the dessert first attitude.
Yes. It is, because oftentimes, what happens is, and this is where I go back to that one moment at a time thing, right? I'm a believer that this moment sets the stage for the next one, and that sets the stage for the next one after that. And so if we wait until the end of our day to start looking for what we love, chances are we're going to be really tired and maybe, in a different kind of state. And then if we start the day with what we love, it could be anything. It could be 5 minutes with a cup of tea and holding your cat, or listening to music you love, or reading something that brings you to life, or, playing ukulele, whatever it is, that then we're sort of, again, just like I said earlier, we're anchoring in that sense of joy, and we bring that to the next moment. And that might be seeing a coworker, and we might find ourselves just a little bit more cheerful with that person.
I usually at the end, I give a bonus goal, but this is so perfect.
Oh.
This is going to be the bonus goal, is to start the day 5 minutes doing something you love as the first thing you do.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And I'm going to try it too. I mean, usually I like everything I do during the day, but I think I could make my day better by doing stuff like this. Because usually I will get up and I'll do the emails and I'll get my have-tos out of the way. But I think I like this. This is great.
And 5 minutes is amazing. I mean, sometimes I'll go sit out. I have a beautiful little deck out here, and I'll just sit for even a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal what can happen in 1 minute. A butterfly might flip by, or a hummingbird, or or I might notice the trees waving. It's phenomenal what can happen in a tiny space.
And I usually tell people 15-minute increments of time, but I love this 1 to 5 minutes. And I had Nita Sweeney on last week, and she started running 1 minute at a time.
Yes, I love that about Nita, right?
Yes. So,
and I think this is a great connection to any type of goal that we have. I love that about Nita. And I too, when I first start coaching with people and someone says I want to start meditating, I always say, start with a minute. Because, right, what happens is your chance of success is really high, and you feel really good about yourself, and you start to actually like it, rather than it becoming, oh, I should meditate. Oh, I don't know. Do I have a half an hour, 45 minutes a day? Right? It's a whole different mindset. A minute, we can be so successful in a minute. Start with a minute. You're so good. Your tech person is amazing.
Why, thank you so much. You saying that brings me so much joy. I like putting these little reminders, because I want to make sure when I do the recap to pull out the whole thing is the best part. I always say, these are the highlights. You have to listen to the whole thing. It's amazing conversation, just because I happen to know or meet a lot of amazing people that I am fortunate enough to be able to introduce, showcase, etc. And I think that I have something called the 5 of 7 rule, which is in theory, it's good to work towards your goals every day, but in practice, it doesn't always happen. And if you have to skip a day, skip a day. You don't beat yourself up for it. You don't double the time the next day, because you're not going to get back there. And this minute a day philosophy, I think, is really nicely aligned with that. 1 minute. I also do what if I have to do a stressful call, which doesn't happen very often because I like to live without stress, but I'll turn on the music, I'll dance, I'll do like 1-2 minutes of dancing because that's all you really need to like get those endorphins going and put your mood where it needs to be.
Well, I do the same thing. Dancing, I agree. Dancing is definitely, in a minute, it's phenomenal. We can go from here to here.
In a minute.
In a minute. I know. During COVID, one of the things I have, and the reason I mentioned ukulele is because I've been taking these lessons online. But each lesson, they're brilliant because each lesson is literally 5 or 6 minutes at the most. And they're so short. I love it. And so I feel successful, and I don't care, I hopefully have a lot of years left, and I'm not trying to learn ukulele for anything in particular. I just like the idea of it. So it's fun. But again, it's like smaller increments for me also mean that we could do a lot more things in our life that bring us joy.
And so tell me, I know a lot of people who like ukulele. What is it about the ukulele?
Oh, actually, you know what it is, Deb?
Yeah, please tell me.
I will tell you. So when I first got this ukulele, I was going to Hawaii for a women's retreat, and I couldn't play anything except for C. It was just like one chord I learned. But I took the ukulele to Hawaii. First of all, it's so much fun to have it over your shoulder, right? And to walk through like the airport and be like, yeah, I've got a ukulele. There's something about like, for me, the like type of person who plays ukulele. But second of all, when I was there, I would pass it around the campfire. Somebody always knows how to play the ukulele wherever you are. And it would instantly create this sense of like joy, right? Like, and even if all I did when people were coming, I met people at the airport and I would just play C. And I just make up songs. Oh, we're so happy to have you in Hawaii or whatever. I can't sing either or play, but I can tell you that it was just fun. It's so tiny and it makes such a sweet little sound. It's that the sound itself is the sound of play and not, like it's not like a violin.
Mm-hmm. It's not a serious instrument. It's a fun, joyful instrument.
Right. And it's cheap. You can buy them. I think this is the other thing. Like you can buy a ukulele for $20. So you could take it on your rowboat and not care, not that you want to have it destroyed. But what I'm saying is you don't have that same, it was meant for spontaneity and joy.
I will never look at a ukulele the same way again. I have a friend from Chicago who comes to visit. His sister lives in a nearby city, so he usually comes over the holidays to visit his sister and her family. And I get lunch somewhere in there. And there's this music store, McCabe's, in West LA.
I know McCabe's.
You know McCabe's. Everybody knows McCabe's. So every visit is lunch and a trip to McCabe's. And it's a playtime. It's a look, and I don't sing. I had a guitar phase. I had a singing phase. I'm much better suited to be a backup dancer, I think, at least. But there's so much history in this little shop that's been there forever.
Wow.
It's like a staple in Los Angeles. It's very historic. And I think 2 times ago, we were led upstairs where they have pictures of all the famous people who played there. And I'm like, we've gone here every year for like 5 or 6 years, and that was the first time we were taken in to the sanctuary.
Yeah, the inner circle, I know.
But if you look around that store, there is not one unhappy person in there. Because these are people who all love music. It's so much a part of their life. And you just feel that. And I think somebody in Gold Chat, when I asked this question, is, oh, no, not that one. That one. What can you do to bring joy into your life? He wrote music.
Yeah.
Music, dancing, anything that lifts the vibration and puts that out there. But you were mentioning, we were talking ukulele. I just had to share that bit. And there are places you're going to go, dance studios, parks, where people are playing. I think it's the P word, right? And you see all that joy. And I think we forget that playing is good. I mean, you and I don't forget. Other people maybe forget that playing is a good thing. And that's what leads to the even cooler things.
Exactly. I mean, exactly. Like, you know, I try to not have everything in my life be goal oriented. However, I do know that play in particular always leads to the most amazing things that, you know, I hadn't really set out as a goal, but it just feeds the creativity and it feeds a sense of openness. And I feel like, forgive me for getting kind of woo-woo, but I feel like life can kind of come in and speak to us when we're in that state where we're just happy, like children.
You can be woo-woo with me any day. Totally. Not only is it okay, it's expected. And this is why I am like this big touter of personal goals too. It's not just about the way you make your money, the way you make your life.
Right.
Your life is about all the components. It's about the family time. It's about the play time. I did, goodness, see, you're just, all these memories are coming like.
Oh, I love it. What's coming up?
Actually, no, this was years and years ago. I was doing a different kind of a show, and I was doing a video on bubbles, and my cousin was in town with her little boy, and I remember filming this video, and then Danny goes and he did the perfect imitation of me. It was hilarious. I wonder if it still exists online somewhere. But we're just playing bubbles for no reason other than to play with bubbles.
You're going to love this because that just sparked for me one of the most joyful things in the world.
Please. My
boyfriend and I, back before COVID, we haven't done it now, but back before COVID, we used to do bubble flash mobs.
Oh, okay.
So there's a park in San Francisco called Dolores Park, huge, beautiful park on a hill, and it's got a big children's playground. And my niece would always do the social media, but she would send out to all these places, and we would get everyone at 11:11 to, nobody would talk about it, but they'd all be at the park. They'd have bubbles hidden. And at 11:11, Ian makes great big, like cow-sized bubbles. He would start making these huge bubbles that would fill the sky. And then everybody at the park who was there, who had their bubbles, would bring them out at the same time. And the children, oh my goodness, the children were just, it was unbelievable. Because it was total magic.
Wow. Do you have this on video?
Oh, yes.
Okay, you have to send me a video to put in the recap.
I'd love to. I actually made a video on how to host a bubble flash mob because I want other people to do it. We have to wait till it's safe again, but it's so easy and it's so inexpensive, right? Bubbles, even the great big bubbles, are easy to learn how to make, and it's a way also to. I love connecting with strangers. So that's really one of the things also that brings me great joy, and to do something like that where you create something where suddenly, everybody's interacting and talking to one another. I love that.
Well, and I'm seeing this common thread here, this common theme, going back to your community and creativity. The ukulele sparks conversation, sparks joy. Yes. The bubble sparks conversation, sparks joy. So I think the other lesson, not only did you start your day with something that brings you joy, during the day, do something that brings someone else joy.
Yes, Deb. Hallelujah. I love that.
Okay.
Well, that's the magic. To me, that is the secret sauce. So in my book, all of those gift ideas, they're things that when we do them, first of all, they just feel so fun and they make us feel playful and creative and joyful before we've even given them to anyone. So that is the secret sauce. And then it's like you give them to someone and then that person is, they're so happy and they love everything that you've done. And then they tell you that back and then you're happy again because they're so happy, right? It is the best boomerang effect of love, which is, what I always say, that it It's just like keeps going around.
Wow. Okay, so what is something in this COVID safer at home time that people can do to bring joy to others?
Well, I'll tell you, can I tell you two?
Yeah, you can tell me three.
I just want to say the easiest things, because again, I'm always about simplicity, the simple part of Simply Celebrate. But my all-time favorite gift is called a love list. And it's simply a list of reasons you love someone. And you can put 3 things on a list. Sometimes I tell people you can have 1 thing on a list just to make it really easy. Put it on a postcard. I love that, when I call you on the phone, you have that amazing cackly laugh that always makes me so happy. You can put that on a postcard and send it to someone. You could text it to them. But even better, if you have 5 or 10 or 20 minutes and you start to brainstorm why you love someone, I know you'll have at least 10, 20, 30 things. And what that does is that tells the other person who they are matters. And usually they're very specific to the relationship, so they celebrate the relationship.
Nice.
So that's my all-time favorite gift.
So basically, just by telling someone that you love them, you're bringing them joy, and that's bringing you joy, and boomerang, boomerang, boomerang.
Yes, except it's that you love them, but to me, it's even more important to say why you love them.
Okay.
Because I think we all love to hear, I love you. Mm-hmm. But like if I say, oh, Deb, when you got on the show today and you were wearing that beautiful blue with your hair and your eyes were sparkling, I just was happy just to see you. It's different, right? It's different than saying, I love seeing you.
Okay, so I would say, I love seeing how perky you are, and I really honestly feel so honored that you shared more of your backstory, because we've had several conversations, but this is the first time I've gotten the chance to ask the questions. So I feel really honored and blessed that you shared your backstory and how you came to joy with me. So thank you for that.
Yes, it really lands. And doesn't it? It's... Mm-hmm. So something else that people can do during COVID that, again, is the simplest thing is almost everybody who has a smartphone has a voice recorder on their phone. Mm-hmm. So what I love to do is, let's say you've got a friend who's living across the country and you have a song that you guys like listened to when you were in high school, or there's a book that you both, love, to play that song and while you're leaving them a message, or to leave them a short message and say, listen, I want to read you this passage. Remember 2 years ago when we were crying in the park while we were reading this to each other? You can leave a voice message. Again, it can be less than 2 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time. But what you can do is you can bring in, sometimes actually a lot of times we'll make them for my mom. And, I hand it to my son and he'll just simply, say one thing that, he's thinking about his grandmother. So it can be that simple, but the hearing people's voices and the sounds are so important.
Okay.
I love how you did that.
Well, it's not just, it's like leveling up, leaving someone a message. It's exactly. The favorite song in the background or the voice steps, and I think in some ways it's leaving the message that maybe you don't even want to talk to them. You just want to send them like a quick video or a quick voicemail so they can listen over and over again. So it's not about saying, hey, how are you? Which is totally fine to do too. But the purpose is to send like a visual or audio letter that they have that they can play over again.
That is it, right? And it's also, which it's to connect to just a little thing. Like I was passing the carousel here in San Francisco, and I have a friend that we wrote it together years ago. So just the sound of the carousel and the knowledge that I was there and thinking of her, right? Like that's all it took just to say, I'm here. This reminded me of you. And then she also has her own memories that come from the sound of it. It's so simple. And sometimes, I was just going to say, sometimes if like I have friends who have moved away and 2 or 3 of us, before COVID, would be gathered and we would just leave a message, all of us, to say, you're with us in spirit, and everybody would just leave a little message just so that they would know, like, even though we were still gathering without them, they were with us.
Yes, it's sweet, and it's bringing in the audio and or the visual along with the sentiment, which is a whole different brain thing.
It
right?
is. It is. Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing that, we may be different and similar and different and similar, but one thing we do have in common is you're Simply Celebrate and I'm Goal Setting Simplified.
Yeah.
And I think that is a theme that people really should, we want you to take a lot out of this conversation, but just to realize things don't need to be complicated.
No.
And actually, if they're not complicated, that's probably better sometimes. Really, what you want to do is find simple ways to bring joy to your life and simple ways to bring joy to other people's lives.
That's it, right? And Deb, that's so beautifully said. And so it's everything, because while it may be simple, the impact is tremendous.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we have your final thoughts, I want to go over the homework again, which is the bonus goal is to just take 1 to 5 minutes in the morning, first thing, and do something that brings you joy and see how it impacts your day and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
And then if you want the bonus goal, do one of those simple things to bring joy to someone else, because that will also bring joy to you.
That's fun homework, Deb.
I am all about the fun, as are you. So first of all, tell people, I have all your links in the comments, but let people know where they can find you, what they need to know about your books, and then a final thought.
Ooh. Okay. Well, my website is simplycelebrate.net, and my book is Say It Now. And I think that's going to be my final thought, that the reason my book is called Say It Now, don't wait. Don't wait. If you have something drop in that why you love someone or what they mean to you, or someone drops in your mind, reach out in that moment, because it's so important. We're all going through a lot of stuff. Who was it that said, we never know what battles people are fighting. And so I just make it a habit. I always reach out when someone drops in, and that will bring a lot of people joy.
Say it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. You never know.
Exactly.
No, that makes it negative. How about say it now, because it will make a difference now?
Yeah, I like that. Or, what I often say is don't wait, celebrate now, say it now.
Don't wait, celebrate now, say it now. I love it. Thank you so much, Sherry, for joining us today for Goal Chat Live. I'm Debra Eckerling. You can join me for Goal Chat Live every Monday on the Mango Publishing Facebook page, and the Goal Chat Twitter chat is Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific on Twitter. You can read the recaps on thedebmethod.com/ links in here somewhere. Here we go. No, it's the tech is not okay. Now the tech is loving me. So debmethod.com/blog to learn more about the recaps, and watch the video for the bubble party, because I will definitely be embedding that as well. And in the meantime, just remember, joy is yours. It's a gift that you can share with yourself and share with others. And not only is it okay to experience joy, it's wonderful. Do what you can and just spread it around.